Dane County voters will see a question on the ballot that might affect your property taxes.
And there will soon be more federal funding available to rural communities to help get rid of prescription drugs in a safe, environmentally friendly way.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. Happy Halloween. It is Wednesday, October 31st. Obviously, we skipped the costumes for today, unless
for now
you consider playing a news anchor every morning as a costume, because
sure,
sometimes it feels like it. Dave, I like the tie, though. That is very Halloween-y.
Yeah, I had to do something.
Looking
otherwise,
good.
I don't know what day it is on a daily basis, so I need to wear things that remind me.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday, it's Halloween.
Do you have
I'm
the socks
up at this
too,
time.
like the labeled socks?
The dates?
I'm surprised I barely have socks on right now, to
It
be
is early.
quite honest. Yeah, I mean, you gotta just go with what you got.
Yep,
I
whatever you
guess.
can.
And what we got today in the weather world is a pretty nice forecast, especially compared to yesterday and compared to last Halloween. We're about 20 degrees warmer by this afternoon compared to Halloween 2017, which makes me happy. Doppler track is showing the rain showers moving out this morning, so we don't need to worry about those as we're trick-or-treating later on today. Downtown Madison looking at a pretty good treat of a forecast on the Edgewater Skycam, although we do still have some clouds. They'll be around throughout the day. We'll see that sunshine as well. Temperatures will be in the low 40s right now, and we will be in the mid 50s by later this afternoon. Wind speeds out of the north at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, so really not a big factor is that wind in the forecast. Your out the door forecast for today in Madison, temperatures in the 40s this morning, but as I mentioned, we will be in the mid 50s. More sunshine, especially by this afternoon, and pleasant overall. It really could be a lot worse at this time of year, so we'll definitely take it. Here's your first alert traffic update, taking a live look at the Beltline and Todd Drive. Starting to get a little bit more volume, but still looking pretty good. No major accidents or incidents to report across Dane County. Traffic generally heading out at the posted speeds on the Beltline, Springfield to University Avenue. That's 4 minutes. Looking good with an average speed of around 65 miles per hour. And that's your first alert traffic update.
You know, it's an uncommon Halloween in Wisconsin when you don't have to layer on the snow pants, all that stuff underneath your costume.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm thrilled because that means that I get to give out candy later on, and hopefully I bought enough so I can have enough for myself as well.
You always
Smart man.
buy too much. I don't know, for me at least.
Don't need that in my
Buy
house.
in bulk. That's the advice.
All right, thanks, Dave.
6:02 right now. We want to start this hour with politics as the final Marquette Law School poll ahead of votes being cast in Tuesday's midterms come out this afternoon. Now, the poll will gauge what Wisconsin voters think about the state's roads, healthcare, immigration, and the president's trade war, among other issues. The results released at the start of the month showed Governor Walker leading Democratic challenger Tony Evers by 1 point, well within the poll's margin of error. Senator Tammy Baldwin led challenger Leah Vukmir by double digits in that poll, and Attorney General Brad Schimmel led his challenger Josh Kaul. However, 10% of voters say they did not know who they were going to vote for in that race. The latest results will be released at 12:15. We'll have a breakdown over on channel3000.com. And there's another big name in politics heading to the state ahead of Tuesday's election. Vice President Mike Pence will rally for his friend Governor Walker at a trucking company in Hudson Saturday. Now, former Vice President Joe Biden was on the UW-Madison campus yesterday campaigning on behalf of Democrats on the ticket. Along with voting for candidates you support, Dane County voters will be asked for their opinion on so-called dark store loopholes.
Yeah, that's the process that allows some big box retailers to be taxed at a lower rate because they're assessed as if the store was vacant or dark. Opponents say small business owners and residents end up paying more to make up for that lost revenue. Those in support of the current rules say the bigger stores are being unfairly targeted with higher rates. The referendum asks whether the state legislature should prevent companies from using the loophole to, quote, shift the tax burden to homeowners. Dane County is one of several municipalities in Wisconsin gauging the public's opinion on that topic. There is going to be a referendum for the Beloit-Turner School District on the ballot as well, this one for the third time. The referendum would expand a portion of the high school used to teach skilled trades and also replace Townview Elementary School over the next 2.5 years. Last spring, a similar referendum failed just by 3 votes. A main criticism of that referendum is a tax increase. The superintendent there says the increase would be right around $250 for the average $250,000 homeowner.
Classes are back on this morning at Verona High School after the building went on secure mode yesterday. The district says a 15-year-old student made a threat on social media. right around 1:30 yesterday afternoon. It involved a gun and ammunition. Verona police interviewed that student at home and lifted the extra precautions shortly thereafter. Students were released at normal time. 7th and 8th graders in DeForest will be out of school again today before their younger classmates have some time off. The district is still working to remove mold in parts of the middle school building. 7th and 8th grade students are out of classrooms for the for the third day in a row. They will shift to other classrooms though for the rest of the week. That means 5th and 6th graders will not have school Thursday and Friday.
Rural communities working to fight the opioid epidemic will have a better chance of getting some federal help through a new grant program. The Department of Agriculture is providing money to folks who have innovative new ideas for how to safely dispose of prescription drugs. Local governments, nonprofits, and universities can apply for those grants. Research shows an opioid addiction often starts when someone gets their hands on a prescription from a family member or a friend's medicine cabinet. The FDA recommends taking those unused medications to drug take-back programs.
Speaking of addiction, there's a session on alcohol and its role in social justice issues happening on the UW-Madison campus. It's all part of a diversity forum that starts today.
The goal of the event is to look beyond the numbers and focus on relationships, retention, and reality. Our Christina Laurie is live on the UW campus with how the forum aims to do just that. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, ladies. The common goal of this discussion over the next 2 days is to bring more people of all different backgrounds here to the UW campus, which has historically predominantly been mostly white. Now, there are a number of different topics set to be addressed in making all people feel both more accepted and included. A survey done previously by UW-Madison found that while 81% of students overall say they feel welcome on campus, only 69% of LGBTQ students, 67% of students with disabilities, 65% of students of color, and 50% of transgender students felt the same way. A task force has since been working to increase the faculty, staff, and students from underrepresented groups, but they're also looking at ways to keep minority students wanting to stay here in Madison.
Fortunately, with the support of the chancellor and the provost, we're in that space now where we're being very deliberate and intentional about, as they say, as the tide rises, all boats rise. I think I got that right. But that's the idea we're using here, to try and make sure we get the best of the best, and we want folks to stay.
A town hall is scheduled for later this afternoon with the focus reality versus perception. Organizers say we need to look at the changing demographics of America and respond to those changes. Now, the Diversity Forum kicks off at 8 o'clock this morning here at Union South. Many events scheduled for the rest of the day today, as well as much of tomorrow as well. We have a full link to the full schedule on our website, channel3000.com.
Some really interesting topics getting discussed, too. I mean, we're talking everything from education, like we were just talking about alcohol. I mean, a lot of things to take advantage of. So we will certainly be keeping you posted. Christina Laurie reporting live from the campus this morning. Thanks, Christina.
6:08 your time now. We always talk about Halloween as a fun event for the kiddos, but it can also be a major cause of anxiety for some people. We are taking time to talk about how to help your kids through those thoughts this season.
Plus, one thing that's not really scary at all today, the weather outside. Sunrise is right around 7:30 again. And luckily, that sun's going to be sticking around all day. Dave's in with your forecast for trick-or-treating when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning. I hope your Halloween is off to a fantastic and not too spooky start. The spooky weather yesterday has moved out, and we're actually going to enjoy a perfectly pleasant Halloween day across southern Wisconsin. Temperatures yesterday, even with the rain and the clouds, made it into the upper 50s in Madison and low 60s, in fact, in Lone Rock and Boscobel. Our October temperatures so far, they've been kind of all over the map, folks. We started off pretty warm, and then we got pretty chilly, and we've been up and down since then. Over the last couple of days, though, we've been slightly above where we should be, and I think that trend continues to end the month of October. November starting already. Where is this time going? Can we hit pause for a second? Pause on Halloween. That would be really, really fun. High temperature trend over the next 10 days or so. We're still going to be a little bit up and down. So temperatures today will be slightly above normal. For this weekend, we'll be in the 40s Friday and Saturday. Then right about where we should be Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But then heading into next weekend, boy, oh boy, those temperatures fighting to get to 40. So that's going to be a little bit chillier as we start November. Doppler track showing the rain not a factor this morning. It was yesterday at times. Some lightning strikes, some downpours, really everything in the kitchen sink, it seemed at times. But a lot calmer today in downtown Madison on the Edgewater Skycam. We do have a couple of clouds still left over, but by the time we get to later this morning, they'll start to move out and we'll see a little bit more sunshine compared to yesterday. And I mentioned the forecast high of 56. Just about where we should be for this time of year. 42 in Madison, 40 in the Dells, and still in the 30s in Camp Douglas. Wind speeds out of the north and west at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So our Halloween weather stats, we've actually been as warm as 77 way back in 1950. Our coldest was in 1976, or at least most recently in 1976 of 22. And we've actually had more than an inch of rain before on Halloween. No rain. We're talking about average temperatures. Really nice, pretty good dancing weather there. Temperatures in the mid 50s as we head into this evening as we start our trick-or-treating festivities. And we are going to be falling through the 40s, so we really don't need to bundle up those costumes that much with temperatures in the 40s by this evening. Future track showing pretty quiet conditions over the next couple of days. A few clouds here and there at times, but the sunshine will peek through today and as we head into tomorrow as well. The only thing is, Thursday morning, we're starting off a little bit chilly with those temperatures in the mid-30s, but then we'll be back into the 50s by the afternoon on Thursday. Your 7-day forecast showing those temperatures in the 40s Friday and Saturday, but I don't think we need to worry about precipitation until late Saturday night. Sunday and Monday, an unsettled start to next week with rain showers and a couple of snowflakes could mix in on Tuesday for Election Day at times, especially later into Wednesday morning. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Speaking of a close eye on things, let's turn it over to Josh Tim, who has your first alert traffic update.
Yeah, it's a quiet start on the roadways so far, including on the Beltline. No major delays showing up heading east or westbound. Other roads here in Dane County not looking too bad either. Just a few of the usual brake lights on northbound Verona Road and Stoughton Road near the Beltline. No delays downtown on campus. Volume shouldn't be an issue, at least for another half hour or so. And other main routes heading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or issues. With your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
All right. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you, Josh. Halloween is a fun time for a lot of us, from the costumes to candy, maybe a few scary movies sprinkled in. But something we might not think about is how it affects kids with anxiety.
It can be especially tough for littler kids who might not be able to tell what's real and what's not. Dr. Marcia Slattery is the head of the UW Anxiety Center, and she joins us with some advice this morning. Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's always good to see you. Yeah. So we want to talk in particular about younger kids because in their brains, you wanted to kind of talk about there's no kind of concept of the difference between fantasy and reality.
Exactly. From that, at that developmental stage, they don't have the wiring, if you will, yet to really know what's real and what's not real. So all of these scary things that they're seeing are real to them. Things that otherwise we tell them, don't worry, they don't exist. Monsters and witches and all of that. Suddenly they're surrounded by it. So their brain has trouble figuring out what to do with that. So we have to be cognizant of that.
Now, this applies for both parents and, you said, the folks who are handing out candy this trick-or-treating season. Is there anything they should be keeping in mind when they're doing that?
Well, I think for people that are handing out candy, remember that, you know, part of Halloween is scaring and being dressed up and the fantasy part of it. But remember that 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 kids will have anxiety. So how they experience the trick-or-treating experience may be very different than what we intend. And we have to be cognizant of that as well, right? So that it's one thing to be afraid of costumes and things like that, but particularly be aware of that scaring someone suddenly and purposefully, that activates a whole separate startle fear response in our brain and our body when we have that increased heart rate and breathing, and it surges our body with stress hormones, etc. And that especially can be really difficult and really stressful for kids in general, all of us in general, right? But especially someone with anxiety.
You were saying too, masks can be really tough for these kiddos
Yes.
because of they don't know what's going on underneath.
Exactly. So know that if you have a mask and you're at the door and you're handing the candy out, that can often be the most difficult because they just can't read the facial cues. They don't know who's behind there. So oftentimes, especially for younger kids, what can be helpful is if you're going to have the mask on when they initially come to the door, then just take it off and smile and add some of the warmth part of it and the kindness part of it so that they can balance it out better.
Now, is there something that parents can be doing before they head out for trick-or-treating to calm their kids' nerves?
Yeah, it's a great question. What often helps is sort of plan ahead of time what you're going to do. Talk with them about what the route is going to be, talk with them about what to say at the door, talk with them about things that may come up. And importantly, when they get back, have something planned, either like having a pizza party with them or some other special thing that they're going to have so that they can also talk through what happened. Debriefing, so to speak, and processing what did happen, even if there were things that were scary, can really help them understand and process it better, especially right before going to bed. And of course, during that obligatory sorting and trading process that we know happens with the candy as well.
Because we don't want to block these kids off entirely from this fun tradition.
Exactly.
So there's got to be some towing the line here.
Exactly. You sort of have a dial of how much fear you want to dial up or down, right? But you have to balance it with the fun part of it, right? And the joyous part of it and silly part of it. And that's what we're not very good at. We don't want to overdo on the fear part, but also make sure that they enjoy it. And especially for younger kids, keep the fear component of it a little bit lower. And if you do incorporate it, again, talk it through, especially once they get home.
Some really interesting information and a great conversation to be having. All right, Dr. Slattery, thanks so much for joining us on this Halloween morning.
Great to be here.
Yeah, happy Halloween. 6:18 right now. A Packers player is leaving the land of dairy to head to my home state of crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does. We're talking about Ty Montgomery and some more change-ups for Wisconsin sports coming up.
Weather in the Dairyland, at least here in southern Wisconsin, looking pretty perfect for your Wednesday. Dave's got a Halloween forecast that's anything but abnormal. That's when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning, 6:22 on this Halloween morning. The clouds are going to clear out throughout this morning, and we are going to be dealing with pleasant conditions on this Halloween. Downtown Madison, the Edgewater Skycam right now at 42 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, that wind out of the north-northwest at 6 miles per hour. Sunrise just after 7:30 with the time change coming up in the next couple of days. Temperatures are in the 40s for the most part across southern Wisconsin, but a few 30s like in the Dells, Viroqua, Wautoma, and in Camp Douglas. Your bus stop forecast by the time the bus comes to get the kids off to school. The sunshine returning, temperatures I think will be in the mid 40s, and then heading home we're looking pleasant with highs today in the mid 50s and a good amount of sunshine. And that's your first alert forecast.
All right, thank you so much, Dave. Things are shaking up a bit this morning in Wisconsin sports.
We're going to start with the Brewers. Third baseman Mike Moustakas has chosen to leave the team and enter free agency. This comes after he declined a $15 million mutual option yesterday. Moustakas was pretty instrumental scoring-wise for the Brewers when they played the Rockies to win the NL Division Series. Right-handed reliever Joakim Soria has also chosen to enter free agency.
Packers head coach Mike McCarthy will talk about what's next for his team, how to fill some voids later this morning after trading off some well-known players yesterday. Clinton Dix is now a Washington Redskin. He was swapped for a fourth-round pick in next year's draft. Clinton Dix was drafted by the Packers back in 2014 and has been a starter for the team ever since. In his time in Green Bay, the 25-year-old clocked nearly 300 solo tackles, 14 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 4.5 sacks. Clinton Dix will be a free agent, though, at the end of the season. Then Ty Montgomery is heading to my Baltimore Ravens in exchange for a 7th-round pick in the 2020 draft. This comes just days after Montgomery fumbled that kickoff against the Rams instead of taking a knee and letting Aaron Rodgers try to work his last-minute magic with a drive. Anonymous coaches and players told NFL.com Montgomery threw a tantrum on the sidelines just before making his call to run it back instead of sticking with the team's plan to work the clock.
All right, 6:24 your time now. Madison School Board is going to try and pass its budget for the second time this week after protests shut down its first meeting. We're going to get an update up after the break.
And some UW schools are talking about the challenges that come with merging campuses. We'll tell you what administrators are talking about on UW Platteville's new Sauk County campus when News 3 This Morning returns. It's take two for Madison School Board as it tries to again for a budget vote that was delayed by protesters earlier this week.
And making the UW more diverse, the opportunity on campus today to learn more about what this school is doing to increase its appeal for students of all different backgrounds.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is 6:28 on this Halloween morning, Wednesday, October 31st. And no costumes on the desk today. We figured we'd save those for later. But Dave is out on a very spooky patio this morning.
He is indeed. What is it? 42 degrees out there. Going to go up 20 degrees more than what we saw last year, Dave.
Yeah, it's such a big change and a welcome change in my aspect. But you said something about not wearing costumes. Well, no, just kidding. It's my face.
Nice.
It's still my face, unfortunately, for some of us. But we are talking about a very nice Halloween day across southern Wisconsin. Temperatures this morning starting off in the 40s, but we will be in the 50s by the time we get to this afternoon. Live look in Madison, mostly cloudy skies on the WISC-TV Skycam. So our friends to the north starting off in the 30s, but for southern Wisconsin, we're closer to the 40s, 42 in Madison, 46 this morning in Janesville, 48 in Milwaukee, and 42 in Boscobel. Wind speeds out of the north, so not too bad. It won't be overly breezy today. Out of the north at about 5 to 10 miles per hour to start us off on this Wednesday. Your day planner, temperature steadily moving through the 40s into the mid 50s by later on. And then for trick-or-treating time, I think we'll dip back into the 40s, but not overly chilly. So I don't think we need to bundle up too much if we're going out to trick-or-treat and have lots of Halloween fun as we head into tonight. So let's take a look at your first alert traffic update. Hopefully it's not too spooky out on the roads, and not so far, at least. No major accidents or incidents to report. Traffic is generally heading out at the posted speeds. Here are drive times on some major roads in and around Madison, Sauk City to Middleton, eastbound on the Beltline. That is 16 minutes, so looking good. Average speed of around 60 miles per hour. And that is your first alert traffic update.
All right. Thanks so much, Dave. 6:30 your time now. Madison School Board members are hoping to pass their budget later today after protesters stopped their first meeting this week. The board plans to vote on a $415 million budget for the next school year. On Monday, members from a group called Freedom Inc. disrupted that meeting over concerns about educational resource officers in the district's 4 high schools. They say it promotes criminalizing youth. Board President Mary Burke says a recent study recommended putting officers in high schools for safety purposes. That budget, by the way, needs to be approved by November 1st, which is tomorrow. There is a conversation happening today over on the UW campus about how to make students and staff feel more welcome.
Yeah, university leaders want to find ways to recruit those students and staff of all different backgrounds, and more importantly, keep them here for the long term. Christina Laurie is live at the UW with more on this diversity forum and what kind of conversations are going on. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, ladies. University officials say an open discussion like this is more important now than ever before because of how divided our country has become on a wide range of topics with the midterm elections quickly approaching. This year's Diversity Forum will focus on topics that really affect us all. They'll be looking at equality when it comes to race, gender, and sexual orientation, but they'll also be looking at some more personal issues that have been in the news this year, like mental illness and sexual assault.
The fact that we're keeping those conversations alive and sort of in the collective consciousness, that's important. That's how change is made, right? Each of us has our own point of entry into these issues, and you have to contend with where you're comfortable engaging, right? Are you an ally? Are you on the fence, not quite sure how to get in because you don't want to muck things up a little bit? I mean, these are all issues, I think, regardless of your background, we struggle and wrestle with.
That's why university officials say a gathering like this is so important, creating that safe space to talk. The goal is also to look at some things that have affected us, like cultivating trust between police and the community. They'll even look at how things like alcohol can affect certain issues. Anyone can participate in these forums held today and tomorrow here at Union South. All events are free. Officials with the university are hoping for a really good turnout. So if you'd like more information, head over to our website, channel3000.com. We have a link to the full schedule of events up on there.
Lots of great sessions happening today and tomorrow on a very important conversation.
Yeah.
All right, Christina Laurie reporting live for us. Thank you, Christina.
6:32 right now. Administrators with UW-Platteville will meet at their satellite campus in Baraboo today to talk about the system's restructuring process and how it's going. That involves merging 2-year schools and 4-year campuses, which means schools like the old UW-Sauk County are now branches of bigger universities like UW-Platteville. The transition is set to be finished by the end of next year. The Journal-Sentinel reported earlier this month that Platteville could lose about $4 million in tuition and student fees due to a 5% enrollment drop at its main campus. Its 2 satellite campuses, and now in Baraboo and Richland Center, are projecting losses of more than 100 students, or about $600,000 a year compared to last year.
A Middleton home is a total loss after being struck by lightning and catching on fire yesterday. Take a look. That strike was caught on video. It happened right around 2 in the afternoon at the house on Ellington Way. A family of 4 lived at the home, but only 2 of them were there at the time. The good news is everyone was able to get out safely, including the family's dog. Crews say the fire caused nearly $450,000 in damage. You can see there. It was one of 4 reports of lightning strikes across Dane County yesterday.
We are waiting to hear when 3 people will be formally charged with homicide, or felony murder, I should say, after a man was beaten and left to die in a town of Dane home. Deputies arrested 20-year-old Michaela Tracy of Lodi, 24-year-old Jacob Johnson from Sun Prairie, and 21-year-old Drew Luber of DeForest in connection to that murder investigation. According to court records, Luber was out on bond and scheduled to be in court next month on battery and drug charges. Now, deputies say they received reports of a battery around 4:30 yesterday morning and responded to the home just south of Lodi on Highway 113. Dane County Sheriff Dave Mahoney says the victim was initially hurt when a fight broke out Monday night. Everyone else left the home except for that man. Then one of the people living at the house came back Tuesday morning and found the man unresponsive. First responders tried to revive him before pronouncing him dead at the scene. An autopsy is scheduled for today.
Cash bail has been set at $100,000 for the suspect in a deadly shooting at a State Street parking ramp over the weekend. 21-year-old Kenyera Gadsden is charged with shooting 21-year-old Stephen Villegas after Freak Fest. The judge ruled that if Gadsden does post bail, she can have no contact with the victim's family.
A Waunakee dairy is on quarantine this morning after an inspection found some of their cows have bovine tuberculosis. Meyer Farms LLC was put under quarantine after a routine inspection at slaughter found that the dairy tested positive for that bovine TB. Now, tests initiated by the state's Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection found 2 other cows with the disease since then. The farm's vet, who has been helping with these cows for a long time now, say that they were otherwise healthy, and the farmers there take good care of their cattle. DATCAP has taken this opportunity to warn farmers to follow good biosecurity practices when they're to know where they're buying from animals from as well. Now, while any cow with TB must be euthanized, there's no treatment available. There is no danger in drinking the milk as long as it has been pasteurized.
We were talking to farm babe Pam Yankee about this earlier. She says we haven't seen a case of this bovine TB since the 80s.
Yeah, at least an outbreak of it. There's may have been some isolated things like this one here and there. They're hoping to keep this one isolated. So it's very scary. Yeah, absolutely. 6:36 right now, and top political names continue to roll into the state ahead of Election Day next week. We'll tell you who's headed to Wisconsin next.
And the state's Department of Justice is getting a new member of the team, but Kozak is not your normal canine officer. We'll tell you what the state's using his nose for. That's next on News 3 This Morning. Welcome ups. Welcome back. So Danica and I did not dress up this morning, but that's because there's no possible way we could have topped these costumes from back in the day. Check these out. That's Danica and her sister Paige on the left, and that's me and my brother Levi on the right. Cuties.
Look at Levi.
I
That's
know.
my dad as a ghost too, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
Hanging out with us.
Yeah, Levi's stealing the show there.
I know, Paige is super, super cute as a Dalmatian too. So yeah, these were always fun, right? I mean, it was just so much fun to dress up. And even back in Maryland, it doesn't seem like it's that far north, but you definitely had to layer up under the costumes.
Oh yeah, that's why Levi's dressed as a pumpkin there. We want to thank the Lewis and Lynchad clans for sending those pictures in. Remember to send your My News 3 Morning pictures onto our Facebook page or on Twitter. We like to share our favorites right here on the program. 6:40 your time now. Wisconsin's Department of Corrections will be teaming up with local law enforcement across the state tonight to make sure sex offenders follow the rules for Halloween. They'll be conducting random home visits of sex offenders to make sure they aren't handing candy out to kids. They also aren't allowed to dress up in costumes, have any Halloween decorations, or keep their porch light on during trick-or-treat hours. Last year, authorities checked more than 2,000 homes across the state and arrested 38 people for breaking those rules. The State Department of Justice is welcoming a new member of the team with some pretty specialized skills.
Yeah, and a really good nose. K9 Kozak is trained to track not narcotics, not bombs, but electronics. He will detect those devices for the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Now, he can smell chemical compounds in things like hard drives and cell phones. In the first half of this year, the task force has inspected more than 350,000 electronic gadgets in cases of potential child exploitation. Kozak completed his training in August, and he's already been deployed in 7 missions, including the search for Jamie Kloss up in northern Wisconsin.
Always love a good dog story on the show, especially when helping other folks.
It is a really interesting, I mean, I never knew they could be trained to do that.
Right. All right, 6:41 your time now. Break out that Superman onesie tonight because we're about to see some nice mild temperatures for your Halloween festivities. We're waiting later and later on that sunrise, though, but it is going to stick around today. Dave's in next with your forecast.
First, though, we have no Halloween birthdays, but if someone you know is turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can show their picture on TV. News 3 this morning. We'll be right back. All right, if you are taking the kids trick-or-treating today, chances are they will end up with way more candy than you actually want them to eat.
Absolutely. And to help parents take some of those sweets off their hands, Unity Point Health is holding several Halloween candy drop-off events at their West Washington clinic over the next week or so. The candy collected will be shipped in care packages to soldiers serving overseas.
And if you needed another reason to give some of the candy away, the owner of Pat's Gym here in Madison is reminding us how much work we'll have to do to burn off bite-sized treats. One of my favorites, fun-sized mounds. 80 calories, you'll need to do 10 minutes of clean and presses.
What?
Leah's favorite Butterfinger will take 7 minutes of bike riding to burn off. And Dave's favorite, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, will require 15 minutes of back squats.
What?
The funniest fitness equation right here. Dave, I want to get your take on this. A Nestle Crunch will take 15 minutes of lovemaking, the owner of Pat's Gym says, to burn off.
What do you think, Dave?
Dot, dot, dot.
Yeah.
Nice.
Many ellipses after that.
It is discouraging to see those stats, though.
Right.
I mean, like 15 minutes of squats? Come on.
And what is a back squat?
Yeah.
I mean, I assume that's where I lay on my back
And
and
just have
sleep
to
for
live
15
from all the
minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe like looking at the machine for a little bit,
Yeah, right.
just by
On your back,
proxy.
yeah.
That's crazy, and those are fun size. Like, what about the
I
full size
know.
candy bar?
We don't want
Maybe
to
just
know.
give yourself the cheat day and be done with it.
Yeah, and
Don't
then
look at the
cheat
calories.
week,
Right.
the cheat month,
Right, and then the cheat holiday season.
Yeah, exactly. Before you know it, it's Christmas and
There
you
you
can
go.
eat candy again.
Oh,
Yeah.
never
So
ending.
I don't think I'm too worried about those stats, though. And let me show you why. You know, I have this new diet plan that I've been trying out, and with the help of some of my technology. Look at this, folks. I mean, you can't even tell if I've put on weight or not.
Awesome.
And this could be yours as well for the small price of $1 million. No, it's just a little green circle here. That is my big secret, unfortunately. Oh, that sound was not very appetizing on this morning. Doppler track showing a little bit more of an appetizing forecast, though, outside. Plenty of candy is in store and plenty of sunshine is in store for today across southern Wisconsin. We don't need any more rain, folks. I've been saying it over and over again. We are already close to 5.5 inches of rain in Madison, about 6.5 in Dubuque, and that's about 3 inches ahead of where we should be for this time of the month and this time of year. A little bit damp in Platteville, but no rain falling right now on our Queen Bee Radio Skycam. Temperatures are in the 40s in Platteville, 42 in Madison, 46 in Janesville. We are in the upper 30s, though, in the Dells. Trick-or-treat forecast. Let me get out of Frank's way here. We're talking about temperatures in the 40s as we head into trick-or-treat time tonight, and no chance of rain. Those moves are pretty sweet, just like our favorite candy bars there. Future track showing things staying pretty quiet as we head into the next couple of days, which is welcome news because we've had 5 straight days of at least a trace of rain in Madison. No dice there. Temperatures are in the 50s during the afternoon over the next couple of days. We will be starting off in the mid-30s, though, for some of us on Thursday. So bundle up tomorrow morning. As we head into the afternoon, though, we'll forget all about that. We'll be back in the 50s with some nice conditions ahead of us on Thursday. Friday, a few more clouds do come our way as we take a look at that 7-day forecast. And then more unsettled weather for Sunday, Monday, into Election Day on Tuesday. Those temperatures back into the 50s, that's good news. However, a few snowflakes could actually mix in at times on Tuesday into early Wednesday. And so we're watching that very closely. And we're also going to be watching temperatures as we head into November, as you might expect, get a lot chillier. We're only going to be in the upper 30s by the time we head into the start of next weekend. So enjoy this pretty much perfect Halloween weather while we can, because it's not going to be around for that long.
All right, certainly we'll do that. Thanks, Dave.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next.
6:52 time now for the morning sprint. Dave has a Halloween forecast about 20 degrees warmer than this time last year.
And Christina Laurie is live on the UW campus with details on a forum to make campus more welcoming and inclusive for all students. But we start with the Madison School District. That's where board members will be meeting again today to try and pass a $415 million budget for the next school year. Their meeting on Monday ended early after members from a group called Freedom Inc. protested educational resource officers in the 4 high schools. The budget needs to be approved by tomorrow.
I'm Christina Laurie, live on the UW campus this morning, where people are invited to attend some discussions on diversity happening later today and tomorrow. University officials say an annual forum like this is important because it brings people of all different backgrounds to the table to talk. After a recent study was completed, the focus now for UW-Madison is to transform educational settings into more welcoming and inclusive environments for student and faculty from all backgrounds. People of all races, genders, and sexual orientations are welcome. Discussions will focus on diversity itself, but also look at things like equality, relationships with police, and mental illness. Organizers say there really is something here for everyone. If you'd like to get involved, head over to channel3000.com.
Thank you, Christina. The final Marquette Law School poll will, before the election on Tuesday, will share what Wisconsin voters think about issues like roads, healthcare, immigration, and the president's trade war. That'll be released at 12:15 this afternoon. We also expect the latest on races for governor, U.S. Senate, and Attorney General as well. We'll break down those latest numbers over on channel3000.com.
There is another big name in politics visiting the state ahead of Tuesday's election. Vice President Mike Pence will rally for his friend, Governor Walker, at a trucking company in Hudson on Saturday. Former Vice President Joe Biden was just on the UW-Madison campus yesterday, campaigning on behalf of Democrats on that ticket.
Janesville native and House Speaker Paul Ryan is calling the president's plan to end birthright citizenship a non-starter. President Trump told an HBO reporter that he was considering an executive order to deny citizenship to babies born to immigrant parents on U.S. soil. Now, Ryan said the president, quote, obviously can't do that, saying the 14th Amendment is pretty clear and would need to be changed for that birthright to be reversed.
Happy Halloween. Temperatures starting off in the 40s on this Halloween morning, and Doppler track is clear. We don't need to worry about that rain as it's since moved off to the east. 42 in Madison, 46 in Janesville, 40 in Juneau, and 41 in Watertown. Temperatures and winds over the next 12 hours will reach highs in the mid-50s on this Halloween afternoon, about 20 degrees warmer than this time last year.
Thank you, Dave. An autopsy is scheduled for today for the man found dead in a Town of Dane home. Deputies took these 3 people into custody in connection with a beating that led to that man's death. That includes 20-year-old Michaela Tracy, 24-year-old Jacob Johnson, and 21-year-old Drew Luber, you just saw there. Dane County Sheriff Dave Mahoney says his deputies responded to reports of a battery Tuesday morning at a home just south of Lodi on Highway 113. The victim was allegedly the only one left behind after a fight the night before. Someone came back around 4:30 a.m. yesterday and found him unresponsive.
7th and 8th graders in DeForest will be out of school again today, so the district can continue removing mold in parts of the middle school. This is the 3rd day in a row that classes have been canceled, but 7th and 8th graders will shift to other classes for the rest of the week. That means, though, 5th and 6th graders won't have school on Thursday or Friday.
Third baseman Mike Moustakas is a free agent this morning after declining a $15 million mutual option with the Brewers yesterday. He was pretty instrumental scoring-wise for the team when they beat the Rockies for the division title. Right-handed reliever Joakim Soria has also entered free agency.
Mike McCarthy will talk about what's next for the Packers later this morning after trading off some pretty well-known players yesterday. Clinton Dix is now a Washington Redskin. He was swapped for a 4th-round pick in the 2019 draft. Then Ty Montgomery is headed to Danica's Baltimore Ravens in exchange for a 7th-round pick in the 2020 draft. It comes just days after Montgomery fumbled a kickoff against the Rams instead of taking a knee.
A friendly reminder from Madison Police as you plan your trick-or-treat route for tonight. After a recent string of car thefts and garage burglaries, the department is asking everyone to lock up vehicles and doors before leaving the house. If you're out and about and you see something suspicious, call the department's non-emergency line. That's 255-2345.
6:56 your time now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. Picking up on the westbound side of the Beltline now between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. It's going to add a couple minutes to your drive time. Inbound John Olin, you're tapping the brakes near the Rimrock and Olin Avenue intersections moving into the downtown area. Northbound side of Rona Road slowing down approaching the Beltline, but other main routes heading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
And here's a look at downtown Madison on the Edgewater Skycam. Starting to see a little bit of sunshine come into the background. Your day planner for today, temperatures will be in the mid-50s with a good amount of sunshine. A very nice Halloween day. And a bit of a trick because I forgot to show Pet Walk, but here's your treat, Egbert, ready for Halloween with temperatures in the 50s this afternoon.
Certainly ready. Hope your costumes are almost as ready as that one. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a very happy and safe Halloween. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.